Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Concussion Sub Series, our episode number 2. Today, we are going to take a trip down the memory lane. We'll talk about 90s cricket, and what better way to talk about 90s cricket than to have our power pack panel today? Sukumar Shekhar, Muthu Ramakrishnan, and Sanjay Dubey. So, we'll get to the intros portion in a little bit, but we wanted to kind of give a big shout out to our audience for giving us such an overwhelming response for our first episode. So it really helps us get into the groove of encouragement. And we also launched our YouTube channel today. So if you've not got a chance to look at the intro, go have a look, couple of minutes, subscribe, and spread the word. We are more than happy to have more people come in and contribute to the factor. So with that out of our way, now let's get into our introductions. Sukumar and Muthu are from our senior most IPL team called Chennai Super Kings. And then Sanjay Dubey is based out of London and he joins us with a heavy backing for Rishabh Pant. He has an inclination that he's going to be the best keeper on the circuit. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sukumar for a quick intro about him, where what the background is, and then move to Muthu and Sanjay Dubey. Sukumar, over to you.
Sure, great. Thanks, Suman. And first of all, congrats to you guys that you guys are doing a fabulous job. This is completely novel concept, and I'm really glad to be a part of this. So thanks for inviting me. I don't know, in terms of intro, did you want a cricket kind of an intro or a professional or a personal? So I'll just touch a bit on everything. Basically, from Chennai, married with a kid, 22 years of professional experience, currently working with Credit Suisse. And of course, you also always have to put a disclaimer. Anything and everything that I say is purely my own personal view and does not reflect my firm's view in any way on cricket or any other individual or a personality.
Good point.
Cricket's been really close to my heart. I was a cricketer myself. I used to play at a competitive level. Had the fortune of playing with a couple of Indian cricketers, but thanks to my back problem, which crippled me, I stopped playing. When I was in my late teens, and ever since then, probably started to gain weight. So I now watch cricket. I clearly don't watch as much as I used to earlier, for whatever reasons. But yeah, I mean, I still scare my wife and daughter at times when they haven't seen me, before as passionate. I still scream on top of my voice. I still appeal as though I am the one who's bowling. So they do get startled. So that's my life right now.
Okay, thanks, Sukumar. Very excited to have you on board. Thanks. Muthu?
Hi guys, very nice to meet you all, and it's been a pleasure to talk after a long time. In fact, we are getting in touch with all of us between all of us after a long time. And to introduce myself, like I'm Muthu. I live in Dubai, and it's been about 5-6 years since I have been in Dubai, and like following cricket, being in United Arab Emirates, like that itself is it's a big passionate country which is outside India, where we follow cricket a lot. And to start with, like my cricketing journey, like if I can put it that way, it started actually in the 90s, right? When we used to be small kids, and we used to all take our own manufactured bat and a tennis ball or something like that, go to the paddy fields, get our pitch done and the ground marked, and we used to start playing cricket. So my passion for cricket started in those days, right? And it has been a great what do you say, it has helped me to grow as a personality as well. So because it used to, my graph used to go up when my team like India or Chennai does well, and my emotions used to be going along with that. So that's how I was. And I'm very passionate about the game, and that's the brief introduction of myself. Yeah.
Excellent. I love the emotional graph portion of it. We have all been through that, especially the 90s.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
Sanjay Dubey.
Hey, thanks, Suman, Muthu, Akash, Sukumar. Nice to be in your company and everything. So something about me: I grew up in Mumbai. Played a lot of gully cricket. Never played with a season ball until in my 20s. Very bad at everything related to playing cricket. Great at watching and analyzing and criticizing, absolutely, like most of us do. But yeah, for me, earliest cricketing memory playing wise is playing gully cricket in Mumbai, because there's lack of space and everything. So people would come up with their own rules, small spaces, underarm cricket. So, just all around that. And the earliest cricketing memories were, from the 90s. And, ever since then, I got hooked onto the game, and then, keep on watching as much live cricket as time permits. These days it's difficult with a little girl I have, but try and make the most of whatever I can, waking up early these days to catch up on the Australia series. But yeah, that's a bit of background about myself. Now I'm in London, just for the record, been here for 10 years now. Seems just yesterday that I came here, but yeah, it's been good so far.
It's awesome. Welcome to the show. And all of you know our concussion sub Akash. He's going to be our concussion sub on the series. All right. So let's get started on the topic. So first things first. 90s is considered to be Sachin Tendulkar era, right? So what, according to you guys, is a thought process around which are the other players who really had impact on 90s outside of Sachin Tendulkar? Sukumar?
Yeah, I can go. There are quite a few, right? It's very difficult to name just a handful. In my top 10 list of all time of 90s, I would call out Mark Waugh. I would call out Wasim Akram. I would call out Arvinda De Silva. I would call out Glenn McGrath. Right, these guys have always been my favorite. If I put a top, the best one-day team, I would always include all of them, and of course, my own favorite, Michael Bevan. I'm not really sure when they started, when they ended, but I clearly remember they must have played at least. He must have played in the late 90s at least. I'm not really good with memory or with the years. One thing, talking of Sachin, of course, the two things that come to my mind. One is I literally cried. I literally cried when he retired, that my wife couldn't believe. She was laughing at me. She said, "Are you mad? Why are you crying?" I said, "You will never, ever understand the emotions that we have with this man." And even today, I get into big fights with my brother and some of my friends who still believe that Sachin should have retired early, and he became useless and he was forced to retire and whatever, right? And I keep telling them, and one of them is, trick of the devil is just calling me. I cut the call. I keep telling them that you guys are so thankless. You guys will just remember the last few, but the great service he did and the great personality he was, right, is just, I think, insurmountable. He will always remain a legend. And when people call me sir in office, I say never call me sir. And one joke I pass is, even Sachin did not get knighted, so I would never call myself, allow anyone to call me sir.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And if you ask Ajay PK Sukumar what he feels about MS Dhoni, he'll probably have same emotions like you. He probably would have cried on August 15th when he retired. So Ajay PK, legend. He's still vacationing, by the way, somewhere. Cool. So Muthu, what is your view? Michael Byrne was fantastic, by the way. He's my personal favorite, and we'll come to him. Muthu?
See, for me, like Sachin, of course, like he is like the god, right? In like apart from Sachin, like the one other player whom I always admired was two players. Like one was Shane Warne, the other one was Brian Lara, right? Shane Warne, like for the sheer the show that he put on, right? Like it would as if feel like it would be a nothing delivery, right? Like a short pitch, or even if it is a short pitch delivery, he had that passion, right? I like the way he played the game. Absolute Australian spirit, and with which I saw cricket. Like I remember the 92, 93 series where it used to come in Star Sport, not Star Sport. It was called Prime Sports then, if I'm not wrong, right? So during those days, right, we used to watch each and every game of Ashes, right? And it used to be test match, right? Like, and I all grew like watching test match with that much passion. It was all because of his magic, and of course Brian Lara facing Glenn McGrath. These things, like it remains so green in my memory, and I can keep on speaking about this, right? And yeah, that's the best memory I have about the 90s. Like Shane Warne, Dwayne Lara, of course. Glenn McGrath started a bit late 90s, but yeah, these three were my great heroes. Of course, after Sachin was. I think Sukumar has told enough about Sachin, and yeah, if I have to add, like he was like uh, when this whole thing of the 1999 Test match happened between India and Pakistan, I cried when Sachin got out and we lost by 12 runs. So that's the thing I have about the 90s. Yeah, especially the players in 90s.
That was Chennai Test, the 1999 one. That
Oh,
was heartbreaking. It took a couple of
I
days.
can't. I still can't get over the fact that like we lost that match.
Yeah, same here.
And then Brian Lara. Brian Lara was outstanding. His 375 versus England. Like those days, it is unbelievable stamina. And then after 375, he went to a county game and scored 501, which is
Yeah.
human. I don't think that record will ever be broken with 501. Never. Yet
Never say never. Never say never. When Anwar scored his fastest century, we thought it won't be broken.
yeah,
Correct.
And now you see where we are.
that's true. That's true. Fair enough.
We have 3 triples from Rohit.
Yeah. And Shane Warne, the ball of the century, as they say to Mike Gatting, I think that will be etched forever, right? That was great
Oh
delivery.
yeah.
And that also decided the Ashes series. I think that was the debut Ashes series and things like that. So
His first ball in the Ashes.
outstanding. Thanks, Muthu, for sharing. Sanjay?
I mean, Sachin, obviously from Mumbai, grew up watching him when his highest score in ODIs was like 60, 70. I clearly remember his first 100 in the 90, 93 or 94 series, and then pretty much watched everything. But beyond Sachin, he's the obvious choice. I loved watching Azharuddin. I absolutely loved his batting. Just the languid, elegance, flicking the ball from outside the off and everything. He was so good. Like, I could talk about his batting so much. In the late 90s, there was a period where I think it was the twilight of his career, where he just started smashing the ball. Like he would bat at like 120 strike rate in test matches. And there are a couple of hundreds which I remember so vividly. There was 100 he scored along with Sachin in Cape Town. And, he belted the ball so well. Like, I don't think we've seen any better 100 in South Africa beyond that. And there was another 100 in Calcutta he scored where it was, I think, Lance Klusener's debut game. He got 8 wickets and he smashed 5 boundaries on a row. And
Right.
I mean, Azharuddin was brilliant. I mean, his career came to an abrupt end, but he was one of my favorite players. And against India, Aravinda de Silva, I just,
Scary.
he was so good, man.
Yeah.
And I hated him, but it was like, he's so good. Kumble, he would treat him like a, semi, medium pace bowler, and he was very good. Those are the 2 players I really liked. Beyond Sachin, obviously, Sachin was my first choice. If I had to pick one player from the 90s.
That's awesome. And talking about Sri Lankans and Aravinda de Silva, that period of 1994 to 1997, I just could not stand any of the Sri Lankans. I'm sorry to all Sri Lankan friends, but I just could not stand them. It was so depressing to watch India lose. And there was one test match in Colombo. I think Sri Lanka scored 900 odd.
952.
Jayasuriya.
Yes.
That was tearful. That was
Yeah.
And literally 5 days of our life, ball by ball, just watch them torment our bowlers. And Nilesh
And that too.
Yeah.
And that too after what we had scored 500 plus in the first innings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
They
was
came back and
537
scored
to be
950.
precise. Yeah,
Yeah,
Sachin Tendulkar
5
scores a century there.
exactly. And they come back and score 952 as if there is nothing in the pitch, nothing to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that series was drawn actually. All the 3 test matches were.
Yeah, of course.
drawn.
Of course. Imagine
was like-
being a bowler. I've always dreaded bowling for in that match. 960, and there was a triple century, a double century, 2 centuries, and a 50, if I remember.
Yeah.
From Sri Lanka. Yeah.
I remember Nilesh Kulkarni made his debut in that game. He got a wicket off his first ball.
First ball, yeah.
And then he's just bowling and bowling and bowling. He just didn't get another wicket. So
Life turned for him.
exactly.
I'm really excited, Suman. I don't know. Should I call you Suman formally or Snaggy the way I call you
Whatever.
usually, right? Yeah, you've just kind of made me reminisce the past, and I'm getting more and more excited. And as we are talking, all these scenes are flashing in front of my eyes, right? The 5 boundaries of Klusner, I very clearly remember. The sixer of Philip De Freitas, Sanat Joyceria hitting in the World Cup, right?
Yeah,
6 right behind. The sandstorm match of Sachin, all those memories are coming rushing back. Great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we all are, of course, biased towards Sachin Tendulkar, but let's spend some time talking about Pakistan cricket in 90's. What about the talent in Pakistan cricket? What comes to your mind, Sanjay?
I think if I had to pick a team from the 90s, it would be Pakistan and South Africa. I mean, the amount of talent Pakistanis had, it was unreal. I mean, look at the all-rounders they had at that point in time. You had Azhar Mahmood, Abdul Razak. Obviously, you had, Shahid Afridi making his debut, Wasim, Waqar, Saeed Anwar, probably, the best left-handed batsman just behind Lara during that era. But Pakistanis were damn good. And the biggest memory I have from the 90's is Sharjah. We going there, losing to them badly, and just, even 1 or 2 victories here and there would feel like, we've achieved everything in the world there has to be.
Yes.
So, Pakistan and India rivalry, what happened during the 90's would never be replicated, because sadly the team in Pakistan is not as strong these days. And they haven't got, those caliber, those type of players which they had during the 90's.
Yeah, results were never our way during 90's, but the rivalry was outstanding. We had Sharjah, we have Toronto, then they toured historic India tour in 1999. We had did Sehwag score the triple hundred in 2000s or
Multan.
the 90's?
It was the
2000s.
2000s actually.
2000s in Multan.
Yeah,
Malta.
love.
I remember the Toronto tournament as well, right?
Yeah.
We won 4-1 in one of the tournaments, and
Correct.
Saurav Ganguly takes 5 wickets in one of the
Player of the
match.
series.
They won 4-1
Absolutely.
in one of the other tournament, and it was like superb rivalry during that time. Yeah,
Yeah,
Absolutely. In fact, I don't know. I mean, you said you didn't like Sri Lankan's period. I think till date, and I'm probably taking you a little back, maybe late 80's, right? When I was so fond of crackers, fireworks as a kid, and when Pakistan needed 6 of the last ball, I went and started bursting, celebrating, only to hear Chetan Sharma bowled a full toss and Javed Miandad hit a 6. I still hate
Sharjah.
Chetan Sharma for that. I still can't get over the Sharjah.
yeah, Sharjah matches were tough to take. And when you speak about Sharjah, the first batter comes to my mind is Navjot Singh Sidhu. He was a class apart on his day, and especially with Pakistan, he had like determination of doing well. It was
I
good.
don't know if you remember with Navjot Singh Sidhu. It was in Sharjah, I think. He once took the bat like a sword towards Amir Sohail.
Amir Sohail, yeah.
Going to give him a whack, kind of. He was so
Correct.
passionate as a player. Yeah,
Yeah.
super.
And similarly, I mean, if you talk of that, the way Amir Sohail showed the bat to Venkatesh Prasad, and then the next ball, Venkatesh Prasad, those were like, I think I would have lost my vocal cords screaming those days. And if you noticed, when I spoke about my 90's favorite, I mentioned Wasim Akram. He's been my all-time favorite bowler, a person who's capable of bowling 6 different balls, right, in an over. The only Pakistani, I mean, I've hated Pakistanis for obvious reasons. I think a lot of us do, right? But the only Pakistani I've always loved, and I wouldn't mind losing, a wicket to Wasim Akram, was his run-up.
Yeah.
He was like a stallion. When he used to run in, you can just keep watching it, any number of times. So he's been my all-time favorite bowler.
Unbelievable. His ability to bat. He was an outstanding all-rounder during those days. What about Saqlain Mushtaq? Just wrapping on Pakistan, Saqlain Mushtaq. What's your view on Saqlain Mushtaq's bowling?
Great. He was
Brilliant. I remember.
Sorry, go on, Sanjay.
Yeah, so I remember the 1999 series. That was the first time I think Pakistan were touring after 15 or 13, 14 years. And he picked up 5 wickets in each of the 2 games.
All
in
four
each of the innings. So yeah, all 4 innings. He was so good. I think if he was playing T20 cricket today, he would be, probably the number one spin bowler if we had. But he was brilliant, and he would get Sachin out so many times. Even that 99 Test match, Sachin, hitting him for a couple of boundaries. The third, shot he attempts, gets out, and that's how we lose the game. But yeah, he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, if Saki would have played IPL now, he would be neck to neck with Rashid Khan. I think both of them would have been lethal combination in a team. Off spinner.
Yeah. There were many years I used to wonder and wish, what if India Pakistan had not been divided? What a one day team we would have had.
Unbeatable.
There many a times I've thought about that.
The batting of India and the bowling of Pakistan.
We always speak about Pakistan's bowling and India batting, right? So if that was a combination, it would have been a super hit combination. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's have some fun. Let's bring in our concussion sub Akash here to see if we can spin some viewer question or quiz questions for all three of you. Akash, what have you got?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, after the first video, we got quite huge responses actually that we have to continue with the series, do more videos, get people involved in there. And as soon as we, launched the fact that there's going to be a second video regarding 90s cricket, subscribers started sending us questions so that we can fire it at you guys. So there are a few questions from the subscribers, which I'm going to mix it up with a few quiz questions as well. Okay. So the first one, what do you think is the difference between 90s cricket and the current cricket? Who would like to take this?
I can go. I mean, the biggest difference obviously is that you do not have a commercially much more successful T20 format. So if you were to simply compare the tests during the 90s versus now, I think everything has got better in terms of, even batting, bowling, fielding, grounds have got better, much more results nowadays compared to in the 90s. There were so many dull draws that you could literally count, the wins which we had. Whereas these days, there's hardly any drawn games. I think the biggest issue in Test cricket, or the difference from the 90s, I think we've got less competitive teams and lots of one-sided games. So if you look at South Africa, they are on the decline. West Indies is on the decline. Pakistan's on the decline. Zimbabwe's fallen out. So I think Test cricket, it will be a difficult one to sustain commercially. And that's why you see only the top teams playing each other. So for example, in the 90s, India was not a great test side. That's why no one wanted them to come to their country and play. So India played 1992 in Australia. The next series we had was 99-2000. So 8 years gap, no series in between. We played 1990 in England, and then 1996, and then 2002. Whereas nowadays, these are the top three sides, Australia, England, and India. We play each other every couple of years because that's where the money is. And it's difficult to sustain cricket without the money. So I think from Test cricket perspective, I think it's, it's good because we're getting a lot of close games, good results, but I think there are less competitive number of teams.
If awesome. I can just quickly add to that, Akash, the key difference in my view has been the technology, right? My brother, funny enough, he is so upset with bad umpiring decisions. He still says that everything should be automated. Umpire should be there only to tie the lace and hold on to the hat and stuff like that. So I think that's been, I keep wondering if we had this kind of technology, probably Sachin would have scored 25,000 runs or 200 centuries or whatever, right? I remember how many times bad decisions would go against Sachin. I still feel, it was really heart-wrenching to see that. So that's been a key difference, It's and one of you commented, I can't remember who commented that the bowler said, I would have got a lot more wickets. And one of your smart comments was, don't forget, it's the other way around as well. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, Sachin would have never got out, I guess, most of the times had the DRS been there that time. Amazing thoughts.
Another biggest difference I would say is like the advent of 2020 cricket, right? So T20, which like in the late 2000s when it started, that's the biggest difference I see between the reason why how Sanjay mentioned, the reason for the test matches to become so fast-paced now and so result-oriented now, I would give some credit to 2020 cricket as well, because that is kind of created that environment, and it gives a good viewing for the public as well. So, and that's the biggest difference.
Just one
Just
more
a
thing.
Muthu, just a trivia for you because you're in UAE. I don't know if you're following the T20 matches between Dubai, Fujairah, Sharjah. I mean, whatever, right?
Emirates T20. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if you do, so Emirates. So ECB Blues, there's this player, leg spinner, Mayappan.
Ramesh Shahzad?
Karthik Paniyappan Mayappan. He's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
close friend's son.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So he's
Nice.
apparently he was bowling in the nets for RCB this season.
Give me a lead, Sukumar. I'll give him a call.
Sure,
He's picked up
I
good
can,
wickets as
I
well.
can.
I think it's picked up close to 8 to 9 wickets in the tournament at the moment. Which is going on.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Today he picked 3 wickets. I brought in the RCB point just to put a smile on my friend AJ's face.
That's great.
Just one more thing I wanted to add on the ODIs. The biggest difference I see is that, in the 90s, it was all about these triangular, quadrangular tournaments. But because of the commercial aspect, we either have ICC events, which we have pretty much one every year, or we have these meaningless bilateral series, which I personally have zero interest in. Even if India loses 3-0, 4-0, I don't really care because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't lead up to anything. Whereas in the 90s, you had this Hero Cup, Asia Cup, Sharjah Triangular, Independence Cup. It always had, at the end of the day, there is, multiple teams competing for a
Correct.
trophy. Whereas now I think it's just ICC tournaments or Test cricket or T20 IPL, and then otherwise these bilateral series completely meaningless to me.
True. Very true.
Very true. Very true indeed. Cool. By the way, thanks for Syed Hussain and Siddharth White for raising this question in FB. So moving on to the next question. Who do you think was the best all-rounder during the 90s, guys? And why do you think so?
Very, very, very difficult. I can take that, but again, to me, I will never give one name. I'm a person who never has favorites, right? So the top of my mind comes quite a few, top 3 names. Let me give Wasim Akram, and I'll try and pick from different countries, right? Lance Klusner and Michael Bevan, one of my all-time favorites. I mean, Michael Bevan's average, I think, was always around 55, 60, whatever, right, in batting, and a very handy bowler, right? He was just unbelievable when it came to batting. Very useful bowler who used to take 2-3 wickets, but when it comes to batting, I think nobody could get him out. He was just too good. And Wasim Akram, obviously, great with the ball, very, very useful bat. And Lance Klusner in one World Cup, I remember he had some 6 or 7 not outs, right?
99 World Cup.
99 or what? Yeah, he was terrific. Unfortunately, the way he got out against Australia, that was again a very sad scene. But great player and great bowler. Those are the 3 names that comes to my mind.
If I may add, there is one name which comes to my mind, which is Chris Keynes from New Zealand. He was a very good all-rounder. Like he was like kind of very underrated. He was a very good bowler and a fantastic batsman. I remember one game where he was like he was completely sick or injured or something like that, and he came back after 5 down or something like that. He won a match against India. So I still remember that.
Yeah, the Champions Trophy final in Nairobi.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Kiwis always had 5 all-rounders in their side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Harris, Chris Keynes, Craig McMillan, all these guys used to load over their arms and pick up wickets just for fun.
Oh yeah.
If I have to put one, I mean, all the selection Muthu and Sukumar made is valid. There's one I remember. It was Brian McMillan. I think it was from South Africa. He had like bucket hands in tests. He would field in the slips, and he was a good bowler and brilliant batsman. So I think if I have to put one for the test matches, he would be the one. Obviously, Callis is an obvious choice, but he was probably late into the 90s.
Late in 2000s.
But otherwise, I think Lance Klusner, if he was to play an IPL, I think he would be the highest, the most expensive player easily. I think Lance Klusner was brilliant.
Wouldn't you guys rate?
None of us picked any Indian, despite Manoj Prabhakar being opening bowler, opening batsman. I think because of that one match where he and Who was it? Was it Azharuddin? Or,
And Mongia.
you know,
Mongia.
Mongia. They just we couldn't digest. We were like, what the hell are you guys doing? You know, and he got dropped or he got punished for the next match, if I remember.
Oh yeah, that clearly indicates that, right? Like India never had a very good
Right?
all-rounder in the 90s.
Yeah, in
Wouldn't you
Never
guys
had a good
put?
all-rounder.
Yeah.
90s, that was our gap because we had Robin Singh, who was great, but never was to the class of Brian McMillan, Chris Keynes, Lance Close, Azhar. We have Ajay Jadeja, who was a batting all-rounder, but
Correct.
again, he was competing against the batsmen of Mark Waugh, Steve Waugh, and likes of Inzamam ul Haq. So that I think that was a big thing until Kapil Dev. Kapil was the only genuine all-rounder we had. I mean,
Right.
Manoj Prabhakar did his part, but as Sukumar said, terrible decision maker, and I don't think he has many fans left in India.
No, I think the recent ODI series which happened where India were thrashed. So if you see, none of the batsmen were able to bowl, and if you compare it with the 90s team, each of those batsmen, Tendulkar, Ganguly, Robinson, Jadeja, almost everybody had a 5-wicket haul with them. Yuvraj Singh when he came in later. That was what I think hit us this time recently.
Yeah.
One funny thing, guys. I don't know if you've had this in your experience. Any of my staff that I speak to, right, and I've been doing this over the last decade plus. Obviously, as a typical Indian, everybody, if I ask them what's your hobby or what's your favorite sport, they'll all say cricketer. And my guess would be, you must be an all-rounder, and everybody will agree because every Indian believes he's an all-rounder. Nobody says I'm a batsman or bowler. Bowler who can bat or batsman who can bowl. They'll say I'm an
Opening
all-rounder.
batsman, opening bowler.
I'm pretty sure Kumble and Srinath would feel the same after they won the match against Australia. They would have been treating themselves like all-rounders.
With their
amazing
mothers
chase.
watching, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What a game that was. What a
Yep.
game that was.
That and also how Ajay Jadeja wagged Waka Yunus. That's also very, very unforgettable. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Cool.
great rush of blood game. Okay, Akash, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Let's quickly move on to a few quiz questions. I mean, this will be a little fun. We all know that Tendulkar was the highest scorer in ODIs during the 1990s. Who do you think was the highest run getter in the tests during 1990s? I'll give you 4 options like KBC does. Okay. The first one is Sachin Tendulkar himself. The second one is Brian Lara. Third one is Alex Stewart. And the fourth is Mark Waugh. Who would like to go first?
Just by the sheer number of games, someone would have played. It has to be someone from England. That's my guess.
Okay. So you're going to pick Alex Stewart.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Alex Stewart, it was 6,407 runs in 93 tests. Just because of the sheer...
played any tests. So, we play like 3-4 tests a year. So, and England and Australia would be the ones.
I think Australia and England were playing test cricket for fun during the 90s. Like every year there used to be Ashes, if I'm not wrong.
5 test matches in a row, 4 times, done. 20 test matches more than the others, actually.
Absolutely. I think if you compare the average, I think probably Alex Stewart's average would be much lower compared to the greatness of Sachin or Lara. But yeah, that's
the number of hundreds and the averages. Obviously, Sachin went ahead of others.
And speaking of Alex Stewart, we didn't touch upon many England batters in 1990s. I think Nasir Hussain was a great bat. Michael Atherton, he was a terrific opener in his zone. I think that series with South Africa where he saved the test match versus likes of Alan Donald was amazing batting.
Great game.
Sorry guys, I lost for a minute in between. And I did answer. I don't know. I think I lost after I answered your question, Akash. I said Alex Stewart. After that, I don't know if you asked any question.
You're absolutely right, Sukumar. That was Alex Stewart. Okay. Let's move on to the next question then. This might be a tough one. Who was the first captain to open with a spinner in the bowling in ODIs?
Wait. It was Deepak Patel. And captain. Who was the captain at that time, Muthu? We used to get up at 3:30 in the morning, and we were shocked to see Deepak Patel.
It was Martin Crowe.
Absolutely right. No choices needed as well. Brilliant.
Correct.
Brilliant.
Oh my God! I can't.
We couldn't believe 3:30 in the morning. We set an alarm, get up, and we see a spinner. We were like, "What the?"
He was a great captain. he also had, the so-called pinch hitter. I think it was Great Batch, was it?
It was great.
He
Yes,
used
it
to
was Great
match
Batch.
before, Kalu and
Nice
Jayasuriya.
novel ideas in one-day cricket started with Martin Crowe. Unfortunately, he died of cancer, but yeah, he was a great player actually.
Yeah. Correct.
They would have won the semi-final as well had he, been on the field, captaining. Unfortunately,
That was Pakistan's World Cup. That was Pakistan had the destiny to win that World Cup. Semi-finals and finals in Sama Mulak. Oh, we cannot forget those two innings.
What you also can't forget, I don't know if you guys do this, I often think of people with weird actions, Paul McAdams, Paul Adams, right?
Paul Adams,
Gladstone Small in England, he used to hold his shoulders right up to his
like
neck.
this, yeah.
Patrick Patterson, West Indies, the way he used to start his run up with
Slow
short
run-up.
steps. Yeah.
These are all great names.
There was one more in England, I guess, during 1990s. Jeremiah Snape, if you guys remember. Very slow.
Yes.
Batsman had to literally, go for a cup of tea and then come back till the ball to come to him.
Akash, do you remember Mark Elham from England? He used to
absolutely, yes. Double kind of a
Gavin Larson from New Zealand.
Yes.
These are all the
slow
bowling bullies.
Yeah.
I remember Sachin getting out so many times to such WWE bowlers. He used to whack the best of the bowlers and get out to these WWE bowlers.
Yeah, Chris Harris.
Chris Harris.
Okay, just in interest of time, Akash, why don't we finish our viewer questions?
Sure. Absolutely. Let's quickly move on to the next one. If 90s cricketers were to play T20 today, who do you think would have been the most dominant team or most best suited players for this format? This is a question asked by Kanaya Jamuna Roy from subscribers.
Sana Jayasuriya, in my view.
Hands down.
I believe Saklan Mushtaq, we discussed about him, and the second name is Shane Warne. So Shane Warne and Saklan Mushtaq, they would have been a great T20 players.
Shane Warne
played. In fact, Jayasuriya and Shane Warne did play the first or second season.
Initial part of T20, yes, of course,
Shane Warne was captain for Rajasthan Royals in their inaugural. He won
the cup as well.
Correct. That was against CSK, lost unbelievably in the final.
That's right.
I think we lost with one ball to spare on the last ball or something like that. It was a great tournament as well.
How deadly do you guys think Romesh Kalavithan and Jayasuriya's partnership would have if T20s would have been there?
Yeah, absolutely. The way they played in '96 World Cup, 3 overs, 32 for no loss. I still can't. The way they started, they brought in that pinch hitting, concept. It completely revolutionized cricket from then, I believe.
They just reinvented the way people looked at cricket.
As I said, with all excitement, we are getting carried away, and Snaggy is keeping a watch on the clock.
That's correct, Sukumar. Sukumar, we forgot one big name, no? We are Chennai Super Kings, Krishnamacharya Srikanth. What about him?
Of course.
He would have been a great T20 player.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Yes, totally. Because he used to play like T20 even those days.
Yeah. And Srikanth in the recent interview, I think during IPL, Dhoni was saying, let's go through the process or something like that. He was on a television channel and Srikanth said, what process? You keep talking about process. There are no results. Brilliant. Nobody can talk to Dhoni like that.
Nobody can talk like him.
He said no.
He has a YouTube channel, by the way. I think you should follow him. Cheeky Chica. Something like that.
Nice one. Okay, let's quickly move on to the next question. What were your reactions to the match fixing scandal in the late 1990s, guys? This is a question by Mithun Ramesh.
I would like to take that. I would like to see the positive side of this whole match fixing scandal which happened in the late 90s, right? I know that I don't know. I still feel probably Muhammad Azharuddin was made a scapegoat out of it. I still can't get over that because he was one of my heroes. How Sanjay mentioned about him, he was a great hero for me. But if I have to see the positive side of it, the whole scandal was that is up till that point, BCCI was not very strong, right? And after that was a point where we got Saurav Ganguly, right? That it was like a transformation of an Indian team before the scandal and after the scandal. right? If you look at that, and that's when we got Saurav Ganguly, right? And of course, like Asruddin might have been made as a scapegoat or not. We don't know about all those things. Let's not even venture into that. But I think it helped BCCI become more powerful financially after that scandal, because they took very right decisions around that time, like being zero tolerant to this whole scandal, and like they sacked players, banned players, and it has helped Indian cricket in a bigger way.
Muthu,
After that scandal.
you are the
That's my take.
epitome of positivity, I would say.
My
Muthu.
take on that. Yeah, I just wanted to.
For
I
me,
wanted to put this point across.
For me, it was heartbreaking. For me, it was like, my God let me down, right? I couldn't get over it. But honestly, what hurt me much more was when CSK got embroiled in the controversy and got banned for 2 years. That was, I just didn't watch IPL much. I just couldn't watch without CSK.
Okay. The last question, basically, this is from me to you guys, actually. How much do you think the difference in quality of spinners is during the 1980s and the current spinners? And, the pitches have changed, obviously, drastically. Like how we used to have in the 1980s, we used to get dust balls as well in Mumbai and Nagpur. But these days, we seldom see these kind of dusty balls or such. So spinners' impact, do you think it's reduced over a period of time? Like how we had Murali, Shane, Anil Kumble, to compare to these spinners in current world?
I think Sanjay should take it. He's been silent for a while.
I think in the limited overs format, the biggest issue has been having two new balls, one from each end. I think that's where, spinners in the past who would have a slightly softer ball to bowl and be more effective. I think that's where, it's slightly different. Also, the size of the grounds. I mean, we have these huge grounds, but they are like 20, 25 yards in sometimes with the advertising skirtings, etc. So it makes it difficult for the spinners to, loop in the ball, get the batsman to, get out in the deep, etc. So I think, and overall, I think the quality of wrist spin probably has died down in a sense because we're not playing as much test matches. But yeah, I mean, in limited overs format, it's only the T20 where the spinners are doing well because people are going after them. Whereas if people were to block them, half of them won't be as good in other formats.
Thank you, Sanjay. Quickly, a few more quiz questions. You guys are actually killing it, so I don't know if any of the questions will even make sense to you guys. You got to rock it. So, who has the most 10-wicket hauls for a match in Test matches during 1990s? Which
You
bowler?
give us options. Give us options.
Okay. I mean, you were killing it, so I was just thinking, should I give the options or not? Okay, anyways, I'll go ahead with it. So, option number 1 would be Shane Warne. Option number 2 is Wasim Akram. 3 is Muthaiya Muralidharan, and 4 is Waqar Younis.
I don't know, to be honest.
I would think it's between Muthaiya Muralidharan and Wasim Akram.
It's to be
But
Waqar.
I'm just taking a.
Take a minute.
I'm
It's
just
a
taking
tough
a
guess.
guess.
Yeah, it's just a wild guess. It's very tough. I don't know the real answer. I don't know. I'll go with Shane Warne.
I think it's Wasim Akram. I don't know.
It is Waqar Younis, actually.
Oh, okay.
Picked up 5 10-wicket hauls in 56 matches.
Wow. That was brilliant.
Wow.
His Yorkers were outstanding. One last question from me, and I think it was a viewer question, and I had to Google back when I saw the question. So in 1990s, do you know who hit the biggest sixer of all? Which batsman hit the biggest sixer?
I think in my memory of the 1990s,
longest sixer in 10 years.
I don't think there's any.
Maybe
there was
I don't know. I'll go.
There was
Jayasuriya.
I think Ijaz Ahmed probably.
It was a 103-meter six by Mark Waugh of Daniel Vittori in Perth, Australia. Yes.
Wow.
Oh wow.
This can go on YouTube. It's on there. It was.
How long was it?
Wow.
It was, I think, 1997, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I saw the footage actually. So when I saw the footage, that was in Perth. But I think some of the sixes which Ijaz Ahmed hit in Sharjah, which went onto the road, I think those are probably bigger, if I'm not wrong. But I don't know. I mean,
might not have a track. We never know. Australia was much ahead of technology those days, so they probably were.
Yeah.
He was an elegant player, the Mark Waugh.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
Wow, one of my favorites. Classy.
Yeah. Listen, this was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. And this 45 minutes is not enough for 90s cricket, but we'll figure it out for a part two at some point in time. But Sanjay, Muthu, Sukumar, really appreciate you guys taking time. This is going to go a long way for us to drive the engagement with everybody. Thanks for keeping it so engaged. And of course, our concussion sub, Akash, keep it going, man. The questions were good. So thanks very much. Hopefully, you guys have a wonderful holiday time in the next 2 weeks. And I'd hope that we'll come back on another episode on another topic, hopefully.
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you, Saggy. Thank you, Akash. And
Thank you,
lovely
guys.
seeing and talking to all of you as well, Muthu, Sanjay. And looking forward to the recorded session. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys. I think
Thank you.
before we
Thank you
roll
all.
out,
Thank you, guys.
I think
Bye.
before we roll out, I had a small thing for our subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to these videos in our channel, and we look forward to your support. I mean, if you guys can share these links to your cricket buffs in your family, with your friend circle, we can actually grow. I mean, we'll be looking forward to getting more videos on this particular channel. Thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Peace.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.